Alright, well, take a look at that. Bitcoin has managed to find itself down in the $69,000 range once again, and this is a phenomenal development because what it means is we've set a brand new all-time high with conviction. We even got the daily close above our previous all-time high, so that is the official break. Congratulations. Shout out to every single one of you that have lasted. And we're now finding that pullback as well, which is going to allow us to move up for a little bit longer. Now, forgive the relaxed posture, but this is, of course, exactly what we were expecting on the YouTube channel. We're seeing a nice, big, deep pullback so far, coming down exactly as quickly as we went up in the first place. And what that means is we are starting to get potentially the beginning of a bigger drop starting to form here. Now, really the question is, where does the price find support? And we've got a few really good areas of support that we can definitely consider. The first one is outlined by this nice blue box right here. This blue box stretches from 68.8 up to about 69.5. And it marks the previous kind of all-time high range, and also where Bitcoin has been finding some trouble literally just over the last week. We haven't traded here before this last week until we go all the way back to 2021. So very useful way to kind of put things into perspective, because we do have a nice potential area of support right here. Now, of course, what could become quite explosive is if this market ends up falling significantly lower and we start looking at much sharper pullbacks, and of course the other side of that as well, if we start to find some support, are we going to be able to continue to rally up and set brand new all-time highs? So of course we're going to tackle all of that in this YouTube video. We're getting a nice little bounce right now, so there's lots for us to go through. If this price action excites you, and if like me you're seeing a lot of beautiful opportunities here, then check out the links in the description below, because these exchanges are giving you free money to trade these markets with. So that is super cool. When you've got a $100 deposit on your Bybit account using my link below, you're going to get a free $500 Bitcoin position, and that is just a free position you can throw into the market. Long or short doesn't matter, and if that position makes any profit, that is yours to withdraw. It's the same with a lot of these other exchanges with no KYC required as well, which is super cool. Check them all out for phenomenal bonuses. A lot of people ask me what I would do if I was starting out again. I would milk the fuck out of this free money because it is literally just a head start in your trading journey, so there's no downside to it. Please be mindful of your local regulations wherever in the world you are. Now, if we continue on with the price action here and look at where these areas of support are, the very first one is obviously going to be that previous all-time high range, which we've just back tested and finding a little bit of support off right now. We are, of course, just zooming in onto the 1 minute time frame, and this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to hold. We're going to have to wait to see some more mature price action, some more kind of stabilization perhaps taking place. But if we do end up losing this price level, there's not a whole lot, right? I mean, what we're looking at on this chart goes from $73,000 all the way down to $51,000. This is a very large chart. This is actually a $20,000 price range, which was the entire cycle of 2017, to put things into perspective. And that means that we're looking at very big price drops if the price ends up dropping. If we lose this area of support, the next natural area of support that I see is just highlighted by this yellow box here at about 65.8. The reason I'm saying that is because this is the only next place where you start to see some rejections, you start to see some support building up. This is the only kind of next place that I feel I can reasonably draw some support, and it's nicely spaced apart from the other one, right? I mean, if we lose that box, it's about 4% down into the next one. Now this next range I think is even better. This is the $63,000 price range. This was quite an important level going all the way back to 2021. If we take a look at this right here, this entire this first real all-time high that Bitcoin set in 2021, when the fake out business was complete and we were ready to drop back down, this was the $64,000 level. Right here, this was the $62,000 level. So these are quite important, these low 60s, these are quite important levels in the market, in my opinion. And if we kind of bring it back to the present day, you can see it. We were very clearly respecting this price range, kind of stretching between 60,000 and 63,000, 64,000 right at the top. So that's really cool, and that actually makes this the best local support that Bitcoin has according to what I'm seeing. You know, the reason for that is, like I said, we've actually been kind of consolidating for a little bit. That's 4 days of price action. It's not big. The next support I'm going to talk to you about is way more important, but you know, one at a time. It's not big, but it's the best we've got on this chart. And what it means from the high is that the price will pull back by about 17%. So as far as Bitcoin corrections go, in this entire bull market, we haven't produced any correction larger than 21 to 22%. So that would be in line with these, you know, what I'm going to call kind of moderate to shallow pullbacks that Bitcoin has been experiencing. Now, if we end up kind of bouncing off any of these areas, then it's back to the all-time high business. You know, what we need to keep in mind now is we're in a very powerful position as bulls in this market, regardless of how low the price drops, which is that as soon as you start sweeping highs now, it doesn't matter how or when you sweep them, you're probably looking at a continuation of the trend. If the price gets back above this level, specifically just anywhere like here, like 73.7 now, let's say, you're back in price discovery mode in all-time high territory. And that's really cool because it gives you a very clear off switch for when it's no longer, in my experience, healthy, reasonable to expect a correction to continue. If you start sweeping highs in a bull market, it probably means you're continuing to trend up. So that's a really useful thing to remember because it gives us a very, very clear point of invalidation. That is definitely a good sign. And there's more invalidations. This can get way easier, and we'll cover that as well a little bit later on in this video. Smash up the likes, ladies and gents, if you are enjoying this one. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin's dominance before we come back to some more Bitcoin analysis. We've seen a bit of a pullback here for Bitcoin's dominance. We were up in the kind of low 54s and now pulling back just a little bit. We've seen some blood across the altcoins as well. Matic down from quite a high and mighty position up at $1.25, now down to $1.13, $1.14. We've seen Solana wipe out a lot of its gains as well, up from 154 down to 144, now the very bottom of this range, which is super, super cool indeed. We've seen ARB slip below the $2 level. We've seen a lot of blood across the altcoin market in these last hours, ladies and gents, and that obviously only means one thing, which is opportunity. Now, obviously, as people who actually like to make money, and indeed who do make money in this market, we are not interested in buying these things when they're 50%, 200% up. That's not how you make money. What we're interested in doing on this YouTube channel, and those of you that are subscribed for some time are going to know this very well, is we want to buy things when they're low and we want to sell things when they're high. It's very straightforward. It's the only strategy, believe it or not, that actually works as a trader, but as stupid as it sounds, most people simply don't do it. I know that I wasn't doing it for a very long time when I started to trade, and I know that many people watching this channel probably have struggled or still do struggle with that kind of thing as well. So really important stuff to be keeping in mind. Before we switch back onto that Bitcoin analysis, I always like to put these things into perspective while I've got the largest, most fucking obnoxious leaf blower in existence blowing behind my head. I do want, I don't know if you guys can hear it, I do want to take a look at traditional finance because this is always quite interesting, you know, to kind of serve an indication of like what might be going on for Bitcoin. So S&P 500 has obviously opened a couple of hours ago. Right now, it's not really trending up. It looks like it's almost just kind of finding some stability up here, which is good. That might be another, you know, sign that we could be taking a leg up for the S&P 500. The dollar, of course, also bouncing up, which is very interesting and doesn't, to me, give a clear direction looking at both of them. And gold continuing to sit pretty happy at its new all-time high level. So that is super, super cool. Now, if we bring it back to Bitcoin and we talk about where Bitcoin might go if we start to kind of continue on upwards, again, like I was saying, it's the psychological levels, right? 75k would be a next obvious potential resistance area. You know, 80,000 as well. It's very hard to say because of obviously how we've never been at these kind of price ranges. What is a lot easier to see though is just where these next kind of bounce zones could be, and that's where I mentioned yesterday I'm seeing the money. You know, now that we've kind of proven we're setting new all-time highs, even though it doesn't make sense and all that stuff, and we're going to continue to kind of hone in on that because I think regardless of what everybody has been saying, a lot of people are still going to get very surprised, not in a good way, with what's been going on in this market, you know, and so my job naturally is always to make sure that I'm protecting myself from that, because I've got real capital at risk in this market, you know, and I want to be able to keep that safe while also making money in this market. So, you know, for me, I'm looking for the easiest ways to profit, to execute trades in this environment. Obviously, like I was saying to you guys with these links, you've got phenomenal offers across the board, with Bybit being the best exchange in the space, giving you up to 30k in trading bonuses with a free $500 Bitcoin position, and these other no KYC exchanges available, as well as phenomenal alternatives, all beautiful to be looking at a time like this in the market, because you don't have to risk your own capital in order to trade with this. Well, in order to get this money, a lot of the time you do have to start trading, but when you get the free capital, you don't have to risk your capital, you know, and any profits you generate are yours. So definitely check these out if you are interested. You're going to need $100 minimum deposit on Bybit to gain access to this, plus a couple more cash bonuses, which are super cool. So check them all out if you are interested. Beautiful 4-hour Ichimoku cloud here, providing massive support to Bitcoin if Bitcoin does end up pulling back down to that 17% price drop off our high, moving us down to the very low $60,000 range. We've also, of course, got 4-hour EMA support right now, which is super cool to take note of as well. We are in the ribbon right now. It's looking nice and healthy. This is exactly how it looked before when we got a nice bounce. So from that perspective, if we're going to maintain this kind of market structure, then we are indeed ready for another run up basically right now. And again, that key invalidation is going to be this break of the high. If we manage to break the local highs, then it's back on the horse. We're running again. We're rallying for as far as we can. You know, you don't want to jump off the dragon while it's flying. You know, eventually the market is going to stop making you money in easy ways. You don't want to be the one that pushes that off switch too early. So that's a really important quote to be kind of remembering in this kind of market. If we take a look at this on some smaller time frames, we do not have phenomenal momentum support from the hourly, but of course we do have some support on the hourly Ichimoku cloud, which we bounced off right at the very beginning of this YouTube video, which I started to record while the drop was taking place. If these levels don't work for Bitcoin, we're going to be looking at deeper pullbacks, and deeper pullbacks are okay. Deeper pullbacks are a good thing, because it means that we're going to be falling into better price levels. So this next one that I think is really good, obviously we've got the very low 50k range for some more consolidation, and even this price level is better than the 60k range for support. But below that, we've got the real star of our support range, and this is at the $42,000 price range. It is worth taking into account that because of how crazy Bitcoin has gone, that is an entire $30,000 drop, which is fucking insane to even say out loud, especially for me as somebody that's been in Bitcoin for 7 years now. I got in when Bitcoin was around the $2,000 mark. It is absolutely insane to me that I'm saying a $30,000 drop would be just down to an area of support. But that's what's happened on this market. You know, what this market has produced for us is a phenomenally huge rally with no real strong support until we get all the way down to the 40k range. And what's also important to keep in mind is that even though it sounds crazy right now, this is, at least for now, Bitcoin's new normal, right? And the higher you go, the more extreme those price fluctuations are going to be. If you got into gold when gold was worth $5 an ounce, then a $200 swing is going to sound absolutely crazy. It's the same thing we're talking about right now, but this is Bitcoin's new normal, and to expect that a big drop can't happen just because the dollar amount is big is quite frankly just ridiculous, and that's going to get you in a lot of trouble as a trader. So please do keep that in mind to keep yourself out of that trouble. If we do end up falling down here, that would be Bitcoin's perfect 40% drop. We don't produce these too often anymore, clearly, but these are Bitcoin's favorite tool to produce within a bull market in order to full send this thing all the way up into the stratosphere, above space, to the moon, wherever the hell you want to go. The best thing Bitcoin can possibly do is form a 40% pullback. It's a really nice big pullback. It washes a lot of people out. If it comes back down to a major area of support, even better. And it's not too big to where you're worried about actually entering a bear market. That's the really good thing about this chart. If Bitcoin falls down to $40,000, you can't say this is a bearish chart. Some people will make that argument, and they'll be the same people that are ridiculously bullish right now, who can't put a hat on it, who can't actually contain their excitement, their euphoria, their greed. Those are the same people that are going to switch and become very bearish down at 40k if we get it. But I'm telling you right now, ladies and gents, I don't see any possible bearish hypothesis at this $40,000 price level. This is a beautiful level to come back down to. Bitcoin produced its first all-time high when it doubled the 20k level, and then from the pullback, it produced that all-time high right here in the $40,000 area. We've come back down for support, and we've found resistance, and then more support, and so on in between throughout 2021 and 2022, and we consolidated here massively in 2024. There is no shortage of reasons that this $40,000 price level wouldn't be fantastic for the market, and I can see so many people absolutely shitting themselves, being terrified of the market if we do end up producing that kind of drop here. But all it does is it puts us down in such a healthy price range with a very nice large correction, exactly in line with what Bitcoin likes to produce before it continues to rally on up. So I still maintain that this is what I want to see. I really want to see $30,000, but 30k I think might be a little bit too low at this stage. I'm still open to it. I would still welcome it if we get it, but 40k remains for me my prized area. I know I'm spending a lot more time talking about the downside than the upside, but obviously this basically just boils down to the fact that you can't do analysis on the market when it's setting active highs because there's no analysis to carry out. There's no price action, there's no price history, you don't actually have anything to go off. So there are a lot of people that will entertain you and give you those kind of price predictions, but it is just entertainment, right? And if that's what you're looking for, then obviously there's tons and tons of other YouTube channels that do that. It's a lot easier to entertain than it is to educate, and all you've got to do is be at a similar IQ level, and of course to kind of give very sound, realistic, grounded analysis. So obviously that's not what we do here. We certainly could. I would make way more money if I did, but what I am interested in is just kind of telling you what I'm seeing as a trader, because that's what I'm interested in doing here. I want to trade, I want to make some more Bitcoin, I want to run my account balances up. So naturally, because of that, we can't really focus on the fun conversation of where Bitcoin might go if it sets new highs, because there's nothing we can do about that. Either you're long already, or you fucked up and you need to get yourself long, if you think this thing is trending upwards. And in both of those cases, there's still nothing to say about the upside, but there's a lot to say about the downside, because that's where you can actually make the money in these kind of environments. So that's something which I like to focus on as a trader in this space. So we've seen a little bit of a nice recovery so far. We're going to have to watch this 72k level get reclaimed. If it doesn't get reclaimed, which means the price gets up to this range and sideways in it or even above, if we don't see it get it reclaimed, then we are probably looking at some resistance, and then some continued downside price action for Bitcoin as well. So this is going to be something to watch out for over the next little bit, I think, while this market is doing its thing. Obviously, I'm going to continue to look at altcoins. These are where I think the opportunities truly are. I've been saying that for a little bit, and I still believe that to be the case. So this is something I'm going to keep an eye out for. There are a lot of coins that have moved up very nicely and that are now pulling back to some really nice price levels, and that is going to make them interesting for some buys. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this for sure, to make sure that if there is anything I like the idea of trading, that I'm going to be getting in on some of that price action. Here's DOT, by the way, unfortunately not keeping that, it's not keeping those highs, and it has retraced back down, and I think that is primarily because of Bitcoin. This is one of the key, I haven't actually shown this to you, this is one of the key kind of risk factors of the market right now, is that if you try and trade the alts, but Bitcoin shits itself, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. It is a suboptimal environment for trades, and the reason for that is because you can't get a very clear direction with particular coins because of where Bitcoin is. So it's really important to keep that in mind. We don't want to be losing money and getting washed out in these kind of price ranges. That's not a position to find yourself in right now. Alright, ladies and gents, I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do if you have. Hit up the like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all of that good stuff. This is very time-sensitive content. You don't want to miss it. And of course, you've got some phenomenal bonuses available to you all with the links in the description, pending that you've checked your local country's regulations, because obviously these exchanges are banned in certain countries around the world. That is obviously for your protection. Of course, these governments know what's better for you than you do. So if you are in a free country that allows you to access these platforms, then feel free to take advantage of the phenomenal bonuses available. You are getting tons of free cash to trade with and push yourself forward for a little bit more momentum in your journey as a trader. Alright, ladies and gents, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.